evening, folks. So the infamous Telkom man strikes again. I've been testing the stream the whole evening. It's been working fine. The moment I go to live broadcast, it bombs out. I don't know what's going on. Luckily, I've been informed that they're busy installing fiber into our beautiful little Elderain suburbs at the moment, so I should have that in just a short while. So in the meanwhile, I'm not going to waste my time anymore with sort of the live broadcasts. I think I'm just going to record them offline, upload them, and you guys can watch them wherever. So first things first, I'm going to keep it to about 15 minutes tonight. I know the videos have been too long and you guys are running out of data, and I still think it's important that I get the information out to you guys and just do it with a bit less rambling. So I've been vaping on this little baby right here. I don't know if you can see that. Coming to a store near you very soon. I've probably, between Zach, myself and Cameron, we've probably done about 1.5 liters of this stuff. We have tested in anything from a UL crown to a smock stick to a billet box. It seems to be holding across the board. This sample right here is a pretty new one, but I also have a sample that's probably about 45 days old and it's still holding up. So everything is pointing to a go for us at the moment, so we're pretty excited about that. Right, so tonight's topic is really going to be about coolant. I think that's been a hot topic on the groups this week, and I find it very interesting. It sort of it just confirms a point that I've had for a very long time, and there's this notion that people change to bakeries or tobaccos or whatever the case is when it's as the season change. But I've been looking at my vaping habits, and I can tell you I'm still vaping whatever I'm vaping, be it watermelons and strawberries and all sorts of fruits that I suppose you would consider to be sort of summer flavors. I've been vaping all of those. I mean, mostly at night I like to switch to my sort of desserts after dinner and all those kind of things, but that I think is just because I've been vaping sweets flavors and fruit flavors the whole day, and you sort of get tired after a while of that. So yeah, so we had the discussion this week. I don't think I've given any information on it. It's been a very busy week, but let's cover those. So I'm only going to look at three concentrators, or three additives rather. The first one is going to be menthol, which I think is the most straightforward coolant, or the most sort of prominent coolant used across the board. It has its pros and cons. Then we're going to chat a little bit about my arch nemesis, Coolada. I mean, I want to love Coolada. I really do. I can't vape it over 0.75%. I get a sort of sweaty gym sock or flavor from it, and I can't stand it. And then with all of my favorite fruits, be it kiwi, lychee, any of those, the moment I add Coolada, it just perpetuates the problem. It's terrible. I can't deal with it. And then there's been some exciting news. I know you guys would have seen Flavor Mill releasing WS32, and then Richard from Blck Vapour has been very kind to send me a bottle of this Black Ice, which I believe is a WS32, irrespective. I do like the Black Ice a bit more than calling something WS32. Right, so just a bit of background on I think WS32. So a very long time ago, and I think I made a lot of jokes about this, right? I found this clone bottle of Fanta, and I don't know if it's supposed to be that fantasy, or I'm not into these kind of juices, so I don't really know, but I bought this for shits and giggles. It was like, I think it was $30 at the local sort of Chinese mall, so I bought it for laughs, and I must say I probably vaped about 10 mils of this. I didn't die or grow a penis out of my forehead or anything, so I survived it. And I didn't particularly like this juice as I'd expected, but I do remember saying this, and I don't know if you guys can remember on the one group, I said to you guys, as shit as this juice is, it must be the best ever use of Coolada I've come across in my life, because it was so cold and so crisp and so refreshing that I knew it couldn't be colada, because if colada goes over 0.75, I taste it. I can taste it. I promise you can mix 7% FA clove with it. I will fucking taste the colada. I don't like it anything above 0.75. And I still couldn't understand how the hell did they get this so cold, so crisp, and not have the gym sock sort of off flavor. And it turns out that most of these Malaysian juice manufacturers had been using this for quite some time. So I've had exposure to this before, even before Black sent me this little bottle. I've got a big 20 ml of WS32 that I've had for quite some time. I haven't used it recently or anything like that. I've actually mixed up a sample of that just to compare to the black version as well. But I remember being very impressed with it back then. I really haven't used it much. That's not any of the profiles I'm pursuing at the moment. So I will get back to it and do a proper recipe on that. Just not at the moment. That's just not the direction I'm going. So right. So I've mixed some of these up. I've got a bit of a flu, which is fantastic if you are under pressure to develop recipes. But I mixed up menthol at 2%. Hopefully that will clean my sinuses. I think it maybe even clean my soul. but I can handle menthol that high. I'm actually a big fan of menthol. I like menthol in sort of lots of fruity flavors. The first that comes to mind is the obvious one, cherry. And if you can use a cherry moya and maybe a cherry together, you can get a pretty decent cherry fruit profile. With about 0.75 to 1.25% menthol. That's wonderful. I love it with citrus, especially lemon and lime. That works great for me. I use it with any fruit. I've used it with strawberries. I've used it with watermelon. So I'm absolutely a fan of it. It is just restricting because you've got that sort of menthol. I can't call it a taste, right? It's not a taste. It's a sensation. It's a mint sensation that menthol has. There's no real taste. Excuse me just for a second. Now I've got a booger hanging out of my nose here, and it becomes one of those Facebook videos or YouTube videos rather. Right. So very simple. I think as much as you get a TFA version of menthol, and you get a Clirolinx version of menthol, and you get a Vaporwave and a TFA, and all of these, they're all just menthol crystals, and they're all probably just a 10% dilution. And the reason I think they're all just a 10% dilution is because it's almost fucking impossible to get the shit to dilute in PG or in VG. Don't even try in VG. I've tried. But it's impossible to get more than 10% in there, and I've tried to do that. So most of them I would happily say is a 10% dilution. They all taste exactly the same to me. It is after all a menthol crystal that is used. You get some of the other one if you look at Cool. I can't remember off that. I almost say Coolness, but it's Sweetness. I can't actually get there's all these ice versions, and some of them have a combination of, I'm assuming WS32, but definitely colada and menthols and all those kind of things. So I'm not going to discuss those. I'm going to stick with the basics, and the reason I'm also not going to discuss those is, I've got them here. I just haven't had the time to test them. I got 69 new flavors in the day after to yesterday, so I'm so far behind. If that was a requirement for me to die, then I'm so far behind I never will. So, right, so let's start off with the menthol. I've got that mixed up in here. And it is so satisfying. I'm a big menthol lover. I don't particularly like it in too many juices, There's a very specific kind of way that I use it, but I do enjoy this so much. It's at 2%, it's really very cool, but it's not that kind of cool like a winter morning where sort of you breathe in through your teeth, that your teeth starts sort of hurting and freezing. So I'm not getting any of that kind of coolness. It's more like a coolness in your chest, your typical Vicks Vapor Up sort of coolness, and I really quite enjoy that. And again, like I said with menthol, is you don't really get a mint taste out of it. It's a mint sensation, because on your tongue, or I suppose your nose, you don't really get much out of it, right? It's almost as if the sensation sits in your chest and in your throat, but it's definitely not a taste to it. The only taste I do get from a menthol, especially at this high, 2%, I like using menthol sort of 0.25, and in extreme cases I'd go up to like 1.25 because of this specific thing. But I do get a metallic taste in my mouth, almost as if you had not metallic, but you know when you put a rubber band in your mouth and it's got that pungent sort of bitter rubber taste. I get a little bit of that, like on the sides of my tongue when I vape at anything above 1.25. So I suppose I'm sensitive to all of these at the end of the day, but it masks pretty well if you've got a really upfront, strong profile, especially citrus. You probably won't taste this in citrus, nor do I think you'll taste this even in maybe a watermelon you would, but you will definitely not taste this with any sort of citrus or cherry or berries. I don't think you'll taste it in there. So my suggested use rates, anything from 0.25, and that I would typically use with something with my lighter profile fruits like your I think strawberry and watermelon both fall into that category for me. Your bit stronger ones, if we're talking blackberries, raspberries, sort of rainbow drops, any of those kind of fruity, forest fruit, all those kind of things, I would move this up maybe to a 0.5 or a 0.75. I do enjoy it at that level, especially with those. Cherries and citrus, this is where I knock it up to 1.25. Not for any other reason apart maybe from just personal choice. I like it at that level. I hardly ever go higher than that. But it's also very limiting, right? So you can't just put this into a bakery. I don't know a bakery that has a menthol taste to it. I do enjoy it with if I make like a mint cream, I do like to add the menthol to it, very low, maybe 1.25, and that's just because it sort of cools it down for me completely while still giving a bit of depth to the mint. So I do enjoy that, especially with sort of chocolate, that sort of chocolate midnight, what's it called, after 8, that slim chocolate with the white peppermint mint cream. It goes phenomenally well with that at about 1.25, and leaving the mint as the sort of driver, and that's just riding shotgun with that mint. So it is very good. And guys, I'll see I'm rocking a Lush tonight. It is, in my view, one of the most underrated drippers in the world. They don't make them anymore. I even tried to import one. I simply couldn't find any. They don't make it. I couldn't find it online. There was a special some time ago, and I tried to buy it. I just couldn't for some reason. And then eventually I had a mate who casually mentioned that he just got one lying around, and I said I'd love to have it, and he gave it to me for free in exchange for a Charlie Noble peanut butter cereal, which I mixed up. He loved that. All for when trade made, and I found myself with a lovely little Lush. And I think this is dirt cheap. This is like $250 or something. It's nothing. And it is a very, very good dripper. I won't say it's my best dripper. I'm picking up the Hadley on Saturday morning. I'm very excited for that. But the Goon LP. Oh, excuse me. Must give me a moment. The Goon LP, or even the full level Goon. My Mad Dog, which I love, absolutely love. That is also a great dripper. And then my all-time favorite, and you can say what you will, you can knock me for it, I don't care. My all-time favorite is my Twisted Messes 2, the 22-inch. I love that dripper more than I love any of my other drippers. I would even contend to that, and you guys know how much I love my Avos. I would even venture to say I enjoy it more than the Avo. So it's not the greatest dripper, but come on, as a free dripper, I've put so much mileage on this little baby. I really enjoy that. Let's clear this out, and then we'll move on to Colada. Now I'm doing you guys a big favor here, because I can't do Colada over 1.75, but I've gone through the effort, and it's taken all my energy to put the Colada in at 1.25, and that is about as high as I would go with it. But I think I'd just be able to describe the off note that I'm getting from Colada. And the thing for me for Colada, like I told you guys, I want to like Colada. I want to like it. I love using Colada. I use it at very, very low percentages, at 0.1 or 0.2 in most of my fruit mixes, where it imparts absolutely no flavor, and even it probably doesn't even impart a coolness on that either. It's just a very slight cooling, because I often find, especially with Asian fruits like lychee, kiwi, mangosteens, even cherry blossom, all those, I find that because the vapor is warm, it sort of makes me think that the fruit I'm vaping is also sort of stood in the sun too long, and I don't like that about it. And even 3 drops of Colada in a 30ml bottle will do a wonderful job of just regulating that temperature, almost, if I can put it in that way. So I really love using it with most of my fruit vapes, just to cool it down. The exception to that being lychee, and even that jack shit recipe that I released. I mean, as much as I love it, the profile of the jackfruit and the lychee, that Colada, even at 0.15 that I've got in there, really very prominent for me, is with the lychee, that is. But I mixed it up because no one else that I gave that recipe to sort of had the same problem as I did. So so I mean, at the end of the day, I mix it up at that level, and I hate using it with lychee because it becomes so prominent. But most other fruits, I'm really very happy to use Colada, especially below the sort of 1.5 level. So let's give us a few tugs. Still have a bit of a menthol. I shouldn't have done menthol first. Menthol's got a tendency to stick to wick like shit to a wool carpet. Just give us a good few tugs. Alright, here we go. Let's just stop it up again. Alright, that's a lot better. Alright, so Colada is meant not to taste like anything. I think a lot of people have reported sort of a nondescript chemical taste to it. I don't get any of that in Colada, and it might just be myself, but at this 1.5 I really get a pungent, sweaty socks. I don't know how to describe it. I think someone just described it in a forum or on Facebook or something described it in that way, and that was the best way I could relate to it, because that's exactly how it tastes to me. I absolutely have no better way of describing it. Now, in terms of the coolness that Colada imparts, it is a bit different to I think menthol. With me, so considering this is a bit lower, this is 1.25. The menthol is 1. I can almost tell you that it feels like the Colada makes it even cooler. I would not suggest ever going over 2% with that, because then that chemical taste really becomes noticeable. And I've even made juices for people who wanted that very strong cooling effect, and I would use it at 2.5%, because I just know how much they want that cooling effect. And even they then said to me they didn't enjoy the juice after that. So it's not really my guideline, it's just what I've seen from sort of sharing juices with people, that it really becomes too high, and everybody then reports this sort of this chemical, almost a nondescript, but it's a chemical, not a perfume or anything, it just tastes like chemicals. But in terms of coolness, I think it's a bit more cooling. Probably if you use both menthol and Colada at the same level. So like I said, Colada, for me, the best way to use Colada is just a 0.15 or a 0.25 with all your fruity vapes, just to make sure that it doesn't, the heat of the vapor doesn't contribute to a sun heated fruit kind of vibe. And for me, like I said, it's very prominent in Asian food. The fruits like your kiwis and your lychees, mangosteen, jackfruit, dragon fruit, all of those. It makes it worse in those kind of fruits. Whereas in a lemon, I could probably push it up, or any citrus for that matter, you can probably push it up to about 1.5, just to make sure that it's not that very warm sort of sun-baked fruit. I can't stand that. I need my fruit to be crisp, I need them to be clear, I need them to be temperature controlled. I don't need them to be cold, I just need them to be temperature controlled. So yeah, I'm getting that all flavor here. I'm not enjoying this one, but 1.25 is just too high for my girly palate. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear this out, and then I actually want to discuss the star of the show. I think after this little bottle right here, the Black Ice, I cannot see myself ever using Colada again. I would have absolutely no use for it, except for the fact where maybe there's a prominent mixer and they've used Colada for a specific purpose. I would probably still use Colada, so I'll still leave it here, because I'd like to replicate those recipes exactly as the creator intended it, and I would then often play with that and change it to my liking afterwards. And I think Colada would be the first replacement, unless if you use it with like a cactus, or even a cucumber, then I find Colada that all flavor is almost complementary to the profile. So for me, it works in there. I haven't played too much with cactus and anything apart from the fact giving juices some wetness, but I have used it up to 3%, and I strangely enjoy it. Yeah, so for me, at the end of the day, I think if it's in a recipe and there's recipe notes in that thing, and they say why they're using Colada specifically, I will replicate that recipe first, enjoy it as the creator intended, and maybe sub it out for Black Ice after that. So now to the star of the show, and I've had some exposure to WS32 before. I actually have almost a control sample of it. I still had some left of it So I made a control sample. I just like to compare the black one to that at some other point in time. But to my knowledge, I think black is using a WS32. There's lots of derivatives for these. I think it's a WS16 and a WS32, and then there's a WS30 and there's a WS64. And I'm not entirely sure how those play out. I've not come across any of the other variants. It's only the WS32. Alright, so let's give it a few tugs and I'll tell you what I'm getting from this. So I mix this up at 2%. I think I might have over dripped a few drops. I think I got to 0.2, probably about 2.3, right? So I did over drip it a bit when I mixed it up, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world for me. At 2%, this is cleansing my soul. It feels like I've just had a cup of coffee and then walked out on a frosty winter's morning and then tried to inhale through my teeth like that. And it feels like I should go for fluoride treatment or something. This is nice and cold. I'm getting a little bit of sweetness in this one. It is a non-distinct sort of sweetness. It's not... by no shape or form is it cloying or anything. It's a very slight sweetness. But it's present and it's enjoyable, and I don't think it will detract from any sort of juices. It won't add sweetness, I don't think, but it does have a nice sweetness. I can even vape this standalone. Goodness, is great. But I do have the flu as well, so I do know that I'm probably not getting everything. But I didn't report any off flavors in the WS32 sample that I tested before this, so I'm pretty sure there's nothing wrong in this one either. So for me, at 2%, this is soul cleansing. It is it is pretty damn cold. But it is wonderful. I'm not getting any off flavors of this. I'm getting a slight sweetness. I'm not getting any changes in texture either. It's not as if I'm suddenly getting a sort of body to it, or it doesn't thin anything out. It's not particularly dry. It's not particularly wet. It's right in the middle. So it's also not going to change the texture of your intended profile. Much like both Coolness and menthol does the same, which is what makes them so great. And that's often why I use menthol along with mints, is because mint sometimes can alter the texture. And if you're going for a specific profile and you don't sort of want that dryness of let's say like a leaf mint, or you don't want to get that sort of wetness that you'll get from a spearmint or anything like that, it can alter your texture. Maybe not significantly, but sometimes to a point where it bothers me. So the texture is actually quite neutral, which is excellent. So 2% is quite strong, but still it feels like this can go. You can probably, if you're really insane, you can probably knock this up another % and you'd probably not get any ill effects from it. There's absolutely nothing. I'm not getting anything. I can taste VG and I can taste PG. I can even taste that my nick is probably getting a bit bad in this premix batch of mine. But I get no other taste apart from a drop sweeter than what a VG would taste like. Just a tad drop sweeter. I know I taste my VG very often. I'd like to see what it does over time, and I've got a big 6 liter bottle, so I mean I'm at least testing my VG once every month or so to see, you know, if it is at all affecting the aging of it, and I know what that sweetness is like, so it's a tad bit sweeter than that, but this is a wonderful. I see, like I said to you guys, I see absolutely no need for Coolness anymore. I would use this, I think, at sort of a 0.15, maybe even a 0.1. I think this will impart a wonderful coolness to your fruit mixes. I think the first thing I'll try is to mix this up with some of the Asian fruits where I know the colada makes it worse for me. But it's very good. And I mean, you can even use this if you're not a menthol or a colada fan, because at that low percentage is just going to have a wonderful effect on the fruit. I can even see you doing this with a milkshake, even an ice cream, which I would never do with a colada. Yeah, so to me, this is very good. I give it 2 thumbs up. If you don't have, luckily I've got two 10ml bottles of this. I should actually have taken a 50, but this wasn't given to me for free. So I would definitely, on my next purchase, I would definitely knock that up to maybe a 30ml or a 50ml. I can see myself using this a lot. It's a pity I don't have the Flavor Mill WS32 available to compare it to. My feeling is it's probably just going to be exactly the same. So yeah, for anything, if you're going cocktails, if you're going sort of soda flavors, I can see this working in anything where you are chasing sort of a beachy gum, Wrigley's gum, that sort of profile. I can see you using this in fruits just to sort of temperature control those fruits. I can see a lot of uses for this, and I think it's very versatile. It's not like menthol where suddenly 0.25% starts overpowering your entire mix, or a colada suddenly accenting those all flavors. So this feels like it's going to mix very well. I'll report back in a short while once I've had a good shot at mixing it in with recipes. I did make a watermelon and strawberry mix using this WS32. I didn't have time to vape it today, I only mixed it last night. So I'll give it a shot in the morning. I'll let you guys know what I think of that. And then, if you guys check eSig SA, the forums there, under reviews, you'll see my name. I've got a whole compendium of flavor notes there for you guys to enjoy. I will update these probably closer to the weekend. Make sure these get up so you guys can go read about it. And then wonderful. So I think next week what I'm going to do is, I have been on a mission with gum now for almost a month and a half. I probably now have, apart from all those exotic Inawera sort of gums that we don't have readily available in South Africa, I've probably tried every single gum now that's on the market for us. I know that there was that noted episode. I only watched that noted episode about 2 days ago, but I think it was the last week Monday, and I think they've done a pretty good job of describing most of these gums. There's a few things I'd like to discuss. Some things that I thought they which I would have liked them to discuss on that one. So I think I hope to just supplement what happened on that one. If you haven't watched the noted episode on bubblegums, I highly implore you to do so. It's a very good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. But I'm just going to chat about it a little bit different. These guys are referencing things like bazooka gum, and there's things that we don't know. We know chappies and Vicks chappies and beachies and those kind of things. So I'll try and relate them a bit more to that. I'm actually in pursuit of a blue bubble gum, a Wimpy milkshake blue bubblegum flavor is what I'm looking for. Not so much the milkshake, I'm looking for that type of bubblegum. There is a specific profile I'm chasing on that. So if you guys have any suggestions on that, leave them in the comments. Discuss them on the flavor notes. Let's see what we can get to. I will try and get my hands on some lemongrass to see if that works in the gum like described in the noted episode. I'll give you guys some feedback on that. And then I've got a bit of a different idea for creating that sort of blue bubble gum flavor using a whole bunch of different concentrates. I went and looked at the original patents that was created for bubblegum, and it's very funny to see that they only had very rudimentary flavors at their disposal to create these flavors. So I think it's going to be very easy to do. I'm just scared that the bubblegum we know today has evolved so much that it doesn't taste anything like the original patents would have tasted. So that is to be seen. I'm going to report back on those, and let's discuss some of those. The other thing I want to tell you guys about is I mixed up, I don't know if you guys saw the first noted episode, the Dulce de Leche. I don't even know how to pronounce it. The bloody boiled condensed milk episode, Dulce de Leche. That one is a very interesting one. I've been chasing a Dulce de Leche for a very long time, and I've tried all of them, even jungle flavors, which disappointed me just a little bit. But then, I don't know who was it, I think it was Skills or someone, then mix up their own version of Dulce de Leche using some sweet cream, was it French vanilla, a few flavorings. I'll actually I'll try and maybe put that recipe in the description here. I mixed that up last night. It is extremely sweet, which is true to the profile. I just don't think it is how I would like to use it, but it is a very good recipe, and you guys feel free to go and mix that one up. Give it a good week steep or so, just for all those creams, the body to develop, and it is a bloody good attempt at creating that sort of caramelized condensed milk profile. So I'm very excited about that one. I'm going to leave it to steep another week before I test it again, and then I'd like to make a few small adjustments to it. Maybe it is just again because of the Spanish variant that they've got in sort of America and South America, and whereas we just noticed, what do we call it? I can't even remember what we call it. But it's almost, you just take a bottle of condensed milk and you put it into warm water and cook it for 4 hours, and you open up and it's that dark brown sort of cream flambe sort of flavor. So I would like to try and see if I can get more to a authentic South African version of that. And I've got a few ideas. He specifically mentioned that he didn't want to use a butterscotch, but I've got a pretty good feeling that a butterscotch may be exactly what we need to get that sort of South African flavor of Dulce de Leche. So yeah, mix it up. It's a very good recipe. Check Skittles in there. I think it's called Dulce Stone is I think what it's called. If you do have the concentrates, I think it's 6 concentrates, very simple concentrates, and it is bloody good. Even exactly the way they did it. All right, guys. So yeah, that's me knocking off. I think probably like 30 minutes already. I just can't stop myself rambling if I go on and on. But all right. I hope you guys enjoy the show. If there's something else you guys would like to have me discuss, feel free to let me know. And then yeah, I'm still looking for someone that can just do a proper intro for this channel, and maybe just a nice design. As you can see, my graphic design abilities is wanting. So if there's someone that can do something cooler for me just to make it look a bit better. I got this new webcam which I think is working a bit better. I'm waiting for a condenser microphone. I'd like to get the sound to a better level. But other than that, it's not going to be better produced than this. I will just try to make sure the quality is of such a nature that the information is not, you're not distracted from the information with cut quality video and audio and those kind of things. But yeah, and if anybody else know how to make this a bit more exciting in terms of visuals and those kind of things, yeah, let me know, and I'd be happy if you can help this old man who knows nothing about this technology, just to sort of spurge us up a bit. Alright guys, yeah, that's me. Remember, the best way to learn mixing is to keep mixing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and we'll chat again next week. Cheerio.